Welcome to the Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat, people. We are running a tight ship here. This is like a Swiss watch. No, I wish you could have been backstage, so to speak, for the last 3 or 4 minutes, because we've really been having some fun. Not only were we making a video as opposed to going live, so there's a real nice video out there of me doing an intro. Then on the other side of it, as we really do get rolling and start getting ready to do the live feed, the whole camera starts doing this number. And as I'm looking at it, I'm kind of tilting sideways, and I realized I hadn't locked one of the legs of the tripod, and the whole thing started shifting to the right. And you all know how dangerous it can be if you duck out of the camera lens for even a hot second. Sorry, couldn't resist. People. So we're broadcasting from sunny Florida, although it is dark out right now, but I'm having the opportunity to spend a little bit of time down here with family, which has just been amazing. It's gives me a chance to reconnect with some people that I cared an awful lot about. And, there was a time in my life where I was very, very close with my family. And like has happened to so many of us, when you sort of go off the deep end and you start turning your life over to the will of dope. When you're living that life, there's nothing else that matters, and that's sad, but it is absolutely the truth. You get to a point where there's not much else that that you can spend time looking at or spend time concentrating on, when the only thing that matters is the next fix. So it's been cathartic to have the opportunity to spend time with people that I love and care about, and for the first time in 3 decades, I can do it without feeling guilty. I can do it without feeling like I got to run off and fix, or I got to run off and make sure that I'm not going to get sick. And that's been beautiful. If you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be talking tonight about taking a moral inventory. And I know that some of you are probably already sick with the concept of me saying that. There are a lot of us. There are a lot of people here on the lifeboat that may not be the biggest fans of the 12-step program. And one of the steps is that you take a searching and a searing moral inventory, and that whether or not you like the 12-step program, you have to tip your hat to it. We've talked about this so many times on the show. There were 2 gentlemen that got together and realized what the medical community didn't, that this was something that could be treated. There are people out there, you see the commercials on television for companies that say, we're going to cure addiction. Now, we've never been of the belief that this is something that can be cured, but it most assuredly can be treated. And that was discovered by 2 alcoholics. It wasn't discovered by the medical community. It was discovered by 2 people that were doing something very similar to what we're doing each and every day here on the lifeboat. which is just supporting one another. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to thump the 12 steps. It's not what we're going to be doing here. But I do think that as we get closer to the first of the year, there's going to be an awful lot of people around the world that are going to be doing their New Year's resolutions. They're going to start making plans for what they want to change. And for a lot of people, we talked about this. It's going to be adding something. For some people, it's going to be the removal of something. We've been touching recently on this whole shadow concept, and I had somebody email me and say, "Was that Carl Jung?" Yes, it was. The first person that really discussed this at length was Jung. I don't want to, spend a ton of time trying to get into Jungian theory here on the lifeboat. I would suggest, if anyone's interested, it's pretty easy to find all of Carl Jung's works, and it's worthy of reading. But I don't want to get into down that rabbit hole for the sake of what we do here on the lifeboat. I think what we went over is probably good enough. There's what we show the world. There's the side of us that we project, and it's usually the best of us. It's what we want the world to view us as. However, very oftentimes, what is in the shadows is really what is dictating a great deal of our life. And when you start taking a moral inventory of exactly where you are, then a lot of those shadows are going to start coming to the forefront in your life. And if you're one of those people who are too far gone, and there are those people, I was one of them. Now, what I mean by that is when you get to a place where you can't even be honest with yourself, right? I was really delusional for a lot of years, believing that no one knew. Everybody thought that I was right as rain, and there were no problems with me, and it was almost humorous once the boat hit the iceberg, so to speak, and it became real obvious that when you get incarcerated, you can pretty much stop with all the lies. There's not much point at in continuing to try to tell the world that you have your act together when you're in a newspaper for bank robbery. So when that event happened, it was amazing to me how many people said, "Oh, come on, we knew." They may not have known exactly what the drug of choice was, or they might not have known, but they knew that I was in pretty bad shape. But if you've gotten to the point where you can't be honest with yourself, then you have to start getting a little bit more creative and trying to figure out some of the things you need work on. One of the pieces of advice that I read back in the day, and I think it's a really good one, is try to look at the things that bother you in other people. Because very oftentimes we tend to project that. If you meet someone and you say, that guy's just, he's obnoxious, or all he does is talk about himself and how, what a great guy he is. There's a really good chance you're doing the same thing. Very oftentimes, the things that we find as pet peeves, or the things that we find that grind our gears about other people, are things that we're currently doing. But as we start getting closer to the 1st of January, there's going to be more talk, obviously, on the lifeboat about making New Year's resolutions. If it's painfully obvious, people, if you're still in the life, we do not. And there's a lot of new names here. So if I'm going over some things that you people have all heard, you have to realize that we struggle with having to try to keep this as fresh as we can. But at the same time, when you've got 6 or 7 new people that are coming onto the live feeds every night, there's a lot that we sort of have to back up on. We have to sort of go over certain things. One of which is this. What really differentiates the lifeboat from anybody that's doing anything similar, and in this kind of format in social media, there are a limited number of people that are trying to do the same thing as we're doing. Very often, what really distinguishes us from those other social media sobriety channels or support channels, or whatever you want to call them, is that they will not have you anywhere near that channel if you're under the influence. They will not have you anywhere near that channel if you haven't made the commitment to get sober. And that's never made a whole lot of sense to us. It seems to me that people who are still in the life, people who are getting high every day, are the people that need this more than anyone else. So as we like to say here, we're going to support you every step of the way. We're going to love you. We're going to treat you well. Up until the point where you decide that you want to get sober, and then we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to respect you. We're going to treat you well. We're going to give you as much support as you will allow.
Speaking of which, if you are new to the lifeboat, we have a safe harbor at Facebook. Now, before you roll your eyes and you talk about how much you hate Facebook, because every time I say this, the comment section lights up with the I gave up Facebook. Facebook is awful. You know what? We're in complete agreement. But if you look at why Facebook is awful, we feel like we've really eliminated a lot of those problems. The page on the lifeboat, very similar to what you saw here. We don't allow people to discuss politics. We don't allow people to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. And we don't allow people to curse. And when you remove all of those things, and you've got a group of people who are all pulling in the same direction, it's nice to have another venue because we're not here all of the time. So it gives you a chance, once you start plugging into what we're doing here at the lifeboat and you make a commitment to get sober, you make a commitment to try walking, that lifestyle, there are times that you're going to feel the need to reach out. And it's great if that desire or, if you start to feel like you want to use and it's 5 minutes before we go live, that's very convenient. If, however, you decide that you want to use and it's 11 o'clock in the morning, it's nice to have another venue where you can go and just post and say, I'm having a hard time. And as anybody here in the comment section who is over on the Facebook group chat, they will tell you, if you pop into there and you say, I'm having a bad time in a very, very short period. Christine Sedman says, I am pending on your Facebook page, Tommy. That's great. When the second I am done talking here tonight, Christine, you will be approved. If there is anyone else that is pending, I assure you that I will get to that the second that this live feed is over. And you know what? I need to do this real quickly because I see that M. Hunt is in the live chat. Hunt, good to see you, my brother. You are in my thoughts and prayers. Saigon Cinnamon is here, also in our thoughts and prayers for you and the boy and your dad. So we're definitely pulling for you, Saigon, and it's always a pleasure to see you here. But people, we're setting up as many different outlets as possible for people to come and discuss their problems because we have found, and one of our firmest beliefs is that society doesn't like to celebrate the victories that we do. Society does not like suppress it. They don't want to hear about sobriety. In all honesty, they don't, because the general thought, and I've done videos on this, you can go back and watch it, but the general thought is usually, if we had our life together and we weren't doing dope, we wouldn't need to quit. So there's no real reason to celebrate the fact that we did. It's sort of like, it's assumed that everybody should live that life, and there's no reason to pat someone on the back because they decided to finally stop doing drugs. We don't believe that here. And because we're all in the same boat, there's an understanding that allows us to celebrate things that you're not going to see other places. For instance, people who are 3 days sober. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we've got someone today that is either on day 3 or day 4, and we could not be any happier for her. We also have a lot of people that are celebrating the 2 and 3 week mark. But for all of you, if you're in the life and you're getting high today, don't leave. We have no problem with what you're doing. We really don't. We've all been there. However, we're here for a message, and the message is that life is a whole lot better when you remove the chemicals. And I know that is a difficult thing to hear because there was a time in my life where you could not convince me that it was possible to live without opiates. That without spending my entire day numb, I didn't think that there was a chance in hell that life could ever be good unless I was high. And the truth of the matter is, when you start drugging your brain and you start to jump the track, so to speak, when it really gets dangerous, people, if you're brand new to the lifeboat, we talk about 2 different forms of addiction, the 2 different aspects of it. One is going to be your drug of choice or your chemical of choice. So if you're drinking, it gets into your body and it does certain things and you start to like that feeling. And then the second insidious part of this addiction process kicks in. And what happens is the reward center of your brain starts to release feel-good chemicals for doing the wrong thing as opposed to the right thing. The release of those chemicals was usually put there for a very, very good reason. Like the biggest dumps of those chemicals are the day that they hand you your newborn, to make sure that you don't want to just throw that screaming bundle of joy as far away from you as you can. The creator made sure that you were going to get flooded with chemicals that were going to make you just completely bond and love that child. And all of that is perfect, right? The first time you meet somebody of the opposite sex and there's that spark and you think, oh, This is the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life. And all of those chemicals get released. And those are all great things. It's how it's supposed to work. However, you're going to get to a point in life where when the dope dealer pulls into the parking lot of McDonald's and you see the car, the same thing happens. And that is an insidious process. And that is why society can't seem to understand exactly what it is that makes us unique. You understand? Here, everyone is in the same boat. So when you say some of the ridiculous things that the rest of the world won't understand, I've said before, to walk into a bank and tell them to put the money in in a bag, no one in their right mind would do that. And the truth is that is exactly what it is. No one in their right mind. And we all realize that under the influence of chemicals, some of the things that you've done have been hard to wrap your brain around, especially if you've never been in that boat. But as we start getting closer, people, my challenge to all of you, and I don't do this often, if you've been on the lifeboat for any period of time, it's where they really suggest you do this. I don't want to come across as if we're giving out assignments, because it tends to scare people. But the 2 assignments that you really got to do this holiday season. Number 1, unplug from social media for 30 minutes a day. We did a show 2 nights ago on perspective, on how much time we waste as people on this planet. And one of the great wasters of time is social media. It should be called anti-social media. I think everybody agrees that there are large amounts of time spent looking at photos of people who are trying to represent a life that isn't even real. Take 30 minutes off. Turn off every single device that you have, right? And unplug for 30 minutes a day. Now, the second assignment, right? The second thing that I would really recommend that you do is take a good hard look at who you are, the characteristics that make you who you are. Because one of the fallacies that happens to all people as they get ready to start the journey of sobriety is that, boy, if I can just stop doing these chemicals, everything in life is going to be perfect. If I can get rid of heroin, I'm great. If I can get rid of alcohol, life is going to be perfect. And what you're going to find, people, is more often than not, there were some underlying causes that made you do this. For some of us, we just liked what it felt like to get high. And then the next thing you know, you couldn't live without it. But during that process, your EQ, your emotional quotient, got damaged. We didn't feel all of the different emotions that normal people feel when they're out just living life. So when you spend 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years drugging your brain, all of those emotions that you do not deal with instantly starts taking on. So before you start this journey, be aware of the fact that if you just want to be chemical free, if that's your goal in life, you can give that a try. What we have found is that when people use that as their barometer for success, they usually fail. And the reason is, it's not the finish line, people. If you think that life gets grand the second you remove the chemicals from the equation, it quite simply doesn't happen. So we like to refer to it as the base camp. It's not the end of the journey, it's the start of the journey. So when you can get chemicals out of the way, you're at the base camp and Everest is in front of you. And Mark, you know who I see on the boat? Jacob Forrester. I got more emails about you in the last 3 days, no joke, than almost anybody that we've ever had on the boat. No pressure, Jacob. But if you miss two live feeds, people begin to panic. Your words of wisdom get really missed. I had a lot of people that have reached out on that same subject. Joe Birdwell is doing all right, people, as we're getting closer to the Christmas season. Joe, and on the same token, Andrew Eats. This is the busy season for what they do. The holiday seasons are really tough for he and his family as far as what they do for work. So Andrew Eats is fine. He has checked in, said he is let me see, 100 and I want to say 115 days sober. He's killing it. His kids are happy. They are continuing to say that they are loving the new dad. Everything is perfect. But when people don't show up here, everybody kind of gets a little jumpy, and that says a great deal about the lifeboat crew. There is a bond that happens here that people do start getting a little nervous if we see someone that is not around. One last person. Who am I forgetting, Mark? Oh, Journey, the Grizz Cub. Journey's doing great, but she's taking care of her husband. If you remember, there was a pretty ugly car accident Oh, Mitchell. Mitchell is here tonight. Mitchell, great to see you. You know what? I love me, and you helped me love myself again. Charlie and Tommy, Deja, all the OG lifeboaters. I see you, and I was here too since the very beginning. Tommy, waiting for sunrises, standing and hurting his paws. You know what, Mitchell? Really happy to see you back here, man. I know that this is a tough time of year. Everybody sort of comes in and out, and it's understandable, right? This is the holidays, people. However, we also worry about you because it's the holidays. I think it's pretty much universally accepted that the holidays are tough on addicts, right? I talked about being incarcerated during the holidays, and it was, it was not living one day at a time. I mean, there were really, even when I was 3 and 4 years sober, it was living 5 minutes at a time. There were times where I was literally just white knuckling it. Christine says, I disappear all the time. Not to worry. I just get overwhelmed. Truthfully, Christine, I think you just move, right? I mean, how many times have you moved in the last 4 years? Poor Christine. I'm telling you, nothing stresses you out like moving. And I know that you do it often, but we want to thank you, Christine. Christine's probably, I'm not stepping on anyone else's toes, but you talk about a moderator that just is gifted at what she does. Christine is one of the great moderators anywhere on YouTube. There should be a training group for what makes a great moderator, and if there was, I assure you, you would be the penultimate, right? You would be the who they hold up. So
yeah,
Daryl Brown
Skywalker
says, hey Tommy,
Skywalker was commenting there too. You might want to read that one.
Skywalker, you say, let me back up here, see if I can back up.
I can read it if you want me to.
Yeah, please do, because I'm likely to.
She says, I'm trying to face my shadows and lose those parts of me that I don't like.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is. 100%. 100%.
And you said that was Skywalker?
Yep.
Kim, listen, if you have not had an opportunity to reach out to us, please do so. Right? We are at, reach me at captaintommyscoble@gmail.com, or you can reach out to Mark, but shoot us an email and just tell us where you're at in terms of people, and don't think that we want you to bare your soul if you're not ready for that. What we would like is just it can be as simple as, hey Tommy, my struggle is with alcohol. I got 4 days sober, or I got 6 months sober, and I found the channel and I like it, or I found the channel and here's what I'm looking to get out of it. It doesn't have to be a novel unless you're comfortable writing novels, in which case impress me, and we'll read it, I assure you. But when you do this, and then we see you in the live chat, it gives us a little bit of a more perspective on, what you're going through. And it makes it so that if you say something that the rest of the world might just think is a comment, very oftentimes someone will say something and myself and Mark will read it and go, oh, there's something wrong. And it allows us to sort of, reach out to you and help. It makes life easier. That's all I guess I'm trying to say. So if you're new to the lifeboat, please take the time. If you hit the Dropbox, you're going to get my email address. You're going to get Mark's. Just pick one of us and send it here. And Daryl Brown says, hi, Tommy, thank you for spreading a great message. You've inspired me to give life another shot, even though I've lost it. I've lost it all. Thanks, brother. You know what, Daryl? I love that comment. And I would love to believe that we really had a hand in that. I don't know, man, I've lost everything. I've been there. And, if there's an old expression, if you have your health, right, pretty much, if you have your freedom, I'll tell you right now, if you have your freedom, then there's really nothing that you can't pull off. You can start crawling back anytime. When you lose your freedom, that was the thing. And I needed it, people. I'm not one of those guys that feels like he's a victim. I deserved to get incarcerated for what I did. I was guilty. I pled guilty. I went to prison. It was what it is. But that was losing everything for me. For me, that was the absolute bottom. And when you got in there and they remove the clothing off your back and make you basically look like every other person in there, you lose your identity. You lose everything that makes you you. And the best thing in the world happened. I don't preach on this channel. If you ever want to hear the story, you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. But, I got tossed in solitary confinement after getting stabbed. And during that time, I had 28 days of just me and, God and prayer. And when I walked out of that, out of the shoe there in Victorville, California, my life has gotten progressively better each and every day. Now, that not saying there hasn't been some rugged times in there, because people there have been. There have been some times in there that were overwhelming. There have been some times in there that, really made me think maybe I couldn't do it. But what kept me going and kept me on the path, with all due respect to the rest of the rehabilitation community, it wasn't a counselor and it wasn't the doctor. It was usually an addict that had been there and done that was willing to take the time to talk to me. And often it was enough just to know that they had been exactly where I was. You know what I mean? A lot of times you feel like you're in a forest. You know what I mean? It's like everywhere you look, it's just dark and there's no way out. But to see somebody that said, "Hey, I walked out of this forest once before," it gives you the belief that, hey, if this cat got out of here, I can probably do it myself. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the reason that the lifeboat has grown at the speed it has, is because everybody here would like to do everything within their power to lead you out of that forest. So, but yeah, what a great comment, man. And keep coming back. Please keep coming back. Tommy, you're describing my past 12 years. Only a gilded cage. My ex was the prison guard. Cindy, you know what? I've never met the man, but I just don't like him. Over the time that we've had to spend together, Cindy, I really had an opportunity to realize that was a toxic relationship that you're in. And thank God, right, that is over. And you know what, Cindy, you're killing it. You're doing awesome. Every day, and I'm not talking about not drinking. We're proud of you for that. But more importantly, every single day, you're just engaging more. And people, if you don't know Cindy's been very, very open about, what some of her problems are. And she says, I don't like him either. And one of the problems is just this kind of interaction has been tough for her in the past. And I think that I'm watching Cindy, come out of her shell and really sort of come into her own. And it's what a beautiful thing. It really is. Not unpacked the trophy of participation. If I did, I would wave it in the air right now, Cindy. We're so proud of you. We really are. That's awesome. Let me see here. I wasn't happy being just drug free, but at least I knew I wasn't tearing my body to pieces. You know what? Like we have said so many times, it's the base camp. It's not the end of the journey. It's the start of the journey. And when you become chemical free, and that, I think what you just said is awesome. It's insightful, and it's if that's all you can go on in the beginning, if you can just say, hey, I'm not tearing myself in half. I'm not killing myself. I'm not going to stick a needle in my arm and get AIDS. I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. It is the cornerstone, and from that you can start building. And my recommendation to everybody, take this inventory thing seriously. If you've just gotten to the lifeboat, there are 12-step programs. There are so many different ways that you can get to the point where you're living your best life. And personally, I don't do the 12-step. The reason for me is I think that there are some steps in there that are antiquated, right? I'm taking nothing away from the people that did it, because, they built something beautiful. But go back and look at the steps that I did. There are videos on it. If you want to see another path, that doesn't have to be yours, but please do get a look at it. Daryl Brown says, thanks for the kind words, guys. I've started to see my position as an opportunity. I am 95% deadwood as a person, and that is time to burn it off and rise from the ashes. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Wow, what a cool comment, huh? Like the Phoenix. That is such a great comment, Daryl. And you know something? I hope everybody on the boat and everybody who hears this at a later date, right? But we're going to have 300 views on this thing within a short period of time. Pay attention, people, because that is awesome. If you talk about the winning attitude for changing your life, I'm starting to view this as an opportunity. For real, if you're at the bottom of the barrel, people, the only thing you can do is look up, right? Everything from that point is an opportunity. Winston Churchill, you guys know this, I say it all the time, but one of my favorite quotes of all time is Winston Churchill. And he said, if you're going through hell, keep going, right? So many people find themselves in the worst spot of their life, and then they park there and buy property. Just keep pushing, get through it. If you're going through hell, keep walking, because you're going to pop out on the other side. And when you do, you're going to pop out a better person. You're going to pop out a stronger person, and you're going to have a different view of life. I promise you that your outlook will dramatically change. But you got to keep moving. You really do. Yeah. Now, Brandon Galloway, where are we at?
Yeah, Brandon.
I saw eggnog in my refrigerator.
Oh,
I thought to drink. Wait, what's that?
Go ahead.
No, he said, I thought to drink. It's just habit. Yeah, absolutely. These are ingrained habits. But Brandon, just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say too, when you're listening to advice, advice is only as good as much as you're going to apply it. You got to apply it. It could be the best advice in the world, but if it falls on deaf ears, it's not going to do anything for anybody. And I do think that those of us that have been through this life and living this life, we do tend to listen to each other more. And I think that's another reason why this works. We will take people's advice that say stuff. And I guess the reason why is because we're not putting ourselves above a certain level. We're all at the same level. It's not somebody talking down or even up. It's nothing like that. It's more, I say it's about my friends. I don't stand in front or behind. I stand right beside them. And that's where I stand. I'm in the same fight. I'm doing the same thing anybody else is. And we all just got to do it together and listen to each other. Honestly. And I'm telling you, we said this yesterday and times before, we learn more from the chat and just by watching it than we could ever tell you guys. I mean,
no question. Yeah,
it's crazy, man. It really is. And the more and more this stuff grows, the more and more stuff that we're all getting from it. If it hadn't grown, Jacob wouldn't be here dropping the stuff he drops. And anybody in there dropping anything in there at all. Even if it's advice that you don't agree with, somebody might get something out of that. And they're more willing to listen because, of what you guys do in there. Yeah, honestly.
You know what? I think you made two really good points. One is I went through so many different kinds of rehab. I know everybody can tell this story because for those of us that were addicted for any length of time, usually the first try doesn't get it. Usually the first 5 or 6 don't get it. But I tried so many different, doctors and so many different psychiatrists and psychologists and all of these different people that had this great advice. And maybe, I'm sure that some of it is just that I'm a jerk, or I was at that point in my life. But inevitably, I used to say to them, what was your drug? I really, and I know that there were times I did it just to be petulant, you know what I mean? Or just to sort of short circuit them because I didn't want to hear it. But the first time that, I was getting advice from someone and said, what was your drug of choice? And he said, alcohol and cocaine primarily. But I spent about 6 years doing opiates, had to kick that. And when he was done talking, I was like, huh? Instantly, this wasn't a guy that wanted to lecture me anymore. This was somebody that, I obviously understood this person. And, instantly there's something to that. And the other thing that I think you said, which is maybe the most important thing that we can talk about ever, is applying the things that you hear, whether you read them in the comment section or whether, Mark and I say anything that gets your attention. There is a phenomenon that I think is fairly new. And it's very much driven by YouTube. And there are people who are addicted to feel good channels. There are people that are addicted to self-motivation and to all of these different things, and they don't apply any of it. There are people literally that go, they'll go do 2 hours of Tony Robbins, and then they're going to go over and hit someone else in this, and they'll pick each part of their life that needs work, and they'll go and listen to people talk about it, and they'll get really excited for 45 minutes. And, when the when the video stops running, it's about the end of it. And I would really advise everybody listening, Homeless in America, good to see you. I would advise everybody that's listening to just plug in. You know what I mean? If you hear something that gets your attention, if you hear something that makes you feel like, maybe this is something worth listening to. One of my favorite stories about the lifeboat, when we first got the channel off the ground. In fact, it was still called the Tommy Scoville Show. It's very, very much in the beginning. It was like the second or third video. Andrew Eats was watching the video, and I mean, honestly, there wasn't really a whole lot about rehabilitation at that point at all. It was just me sort of telling my story. But according to him, he said when he got to the end of it, and this is, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but he got to the end of it and said, "Man, this dude's way more screwed up than I was." Like what he took away from that was, but I thought I was only screwed. I mean, look at this guy. And honestly, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but that really is how he framed it to me. He said I was done watching that, and I thought, boy, if there's anybody out there that was really a screw up, it's Tommy. And he went to his wife and said, "This is it, man. I'm done." And he said, and she's a good woman. His wife is a great woman. They've got a great relationship. But he said when he told her that, she laughed at him. And not because she's a jerk or anything else, but because he had just told her so many times. And it's, when you were talking, you said maybe even something you don't agree with or whatever. One of the strangest things to me about the lifeboat is that every once in a while, someone will reach out and they'll say, "Hey, I was watching such and or I was on this live feed, and you said," and they'll repeat something and it'll be something that to my mind means absolutely nothing. Like I'll listen to it and think, boy, I remember that video. You talked some really important, that's what got you. But I think what it comes down to, people, is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. If you're at that point, if you're where, like the gentleman that just said, "I'm starting to view where I'm at as an opportunity," that is a person that is ready to change his life, right? That's somebody that gets it and is ready right now, to sort of attack life. And I think it's you honestly, you just, if you continue to come here and you continue to listen, not just to me, but to all of the people in the comments section, and have the courage, and I promise you it's courage, but the courage to come here and open up, have the courage to say, "I'm having a really bad day. Like today is a day that I really want to get high." There's nothing wrong with saying that. In fact, I did a video, if you've been here long enough, I did a video once called "I Really Want to Get High." And it was, a friend of mine overdosed and died. And actually, no, that was a little later. What it is I saw a friend that I cared a great deal about prostituting. And it was just one of the most painful experiences. And I felt like there wasn't anything I could do. I felt kind of hopeless. And so I came here and I said, opened up and said, the time has come to, to sort of let this go. Let me see here, people.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
40 foot. 40-foot garbage man. Says, "Please pray for me, guys. This cold weather and dark days have been taking a toll on me, and I have been backsliding. It's okay."
Hey, you know what? You talk about perfect. I mean, that the timing on that could not be any better. Hey, you know what, 40? I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you opening up. We'll be more than happy to keep you in our thoughts and prayers. Do me a big favor, man, and shoot us an email to one of us. We got 15 minutes. We can get everybody here praying for you, but we would love to hear exactly what's going on and see if maybe, we can't talk to you a little bit. If you're willing, man, reach out, please. But I appreciate seeing you here. I know that you've missed a couple of live feeds, but to come here and say what you're saying right now, people, this is, you talk about, what we're talking about right now, there it is.
Yeah, true.
It says 40-foot garbage man. I get seasonal depression.
Yeah.
You were just reading it?
Yeah, I was just reading the same one.
Yeah, it says I get seasonal depression. If you don't have one, go ahead, Mike, knock it out.
If you don't have one, happy light tends to help. Basically, it triggers your brain through artificial sunlight. And that's 100% correct, guys. Listen, there's a lot of physical studies done and a lot of, on our bodies when it comes to sunlight. Not only how it makes us healthier, but it makes our mental state so much better. You hear people talking about how we're not nocturnal creatures, and that's true. They've done studies out there saying that, people that work third shift live an average of 5 years less. Not a whole lot of people know that statistic, but it's true. And what I'm saying is, if you get out in the sun, get outside, and let me tell you this from experience. I'm disabled. I was stuck in my house for 3 years, and that was after I got help. Okay, and I can tell you right now that was probably the 3 worst years of my life. And it wasn't because of any outside anything. It was myself not willing to get my butt up off the couch and get back into life. And, yeah. And it took a little overcoming. So don't think that you're out of the ordinary when you're feeling that stuff, because you're not. It's something that most of us have experienced it a little bit. But those of us that are going through what we're going through and will continue to go through, this does hit a little harder. Because what do we do? Where's our mind go? Me and Tommy just talked about this pre-stream. Straight to the worst thing they could possibly go to.
Every time.
Immediate. And you have to fight that. Me and Tommy fight it every day. Just with you guys. The same way. You guys fight it. We're fighting it too. So we understand. And don't think that that's out of the ordinary. Don't think that that's odd. Don't cut on yourself for that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
It just try to fight it as best you can. Shoot me and Tommy an email. Come here. Go wherever you think you need to go to get yourself out of that mindset. But I would start just by opening your window. Open a window up. Get some fresh air. If you don't want to go outside, fine. Let the outside come into you. And just try to start with that little stuff. So, yeah.
40-foot garbage man says, thanks so much, guys. It feels so much better not being alone. And I'll tell you something. I'm not surprised. I've been reading the comments for the whole time you're talking. And I don't know that there's anybody in the comment section, literally, that didn't reach out and say, hey, some form of advice, come here, plug in. We got your back, brother. I promise you that. And as Mitchell said, I promise you they really will respond and it doesn't cost anything, which is good stuff. Mitchell, I love you, brother. So I'm so glad you're back. And Miss Honeybee, I do not believe that I have ever welcomed you on board the lifeboat, but it is great to see you. And I know I am screwing up on about 6 or 7 other people that I have not welcomed. So if you are new on the boat tonight, I apologize, but there's a bunch of new names. So happy to have you here.
I know Miss Honeybee. She's from my channel.
Great turnout.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
She's
Mark should be the one that is welcoming everybody too.
No, not at all. I just recognize the name, and we've talked in the chat and stuff before over on my channel. So yeah.
What's great, people? There's been such a beautiful. We were talking about this off air too. I think it was yesterday, but the people that come over from Wages World hit the ground running. I don't know whether it's because you're so comfortable with Mark, or it's just, there's a feel at Wages World that's very similar, I think, in a lot of ways to the lifeboat. Where it's just, there's definitely a family kind of a thing. When Mark goes live, the first 15 or 20 minutes are just people saying hello and good to see you. So I think maybe it's, but the crew that we've gotten from, that has come over from Wages World. Same with the people from Marfugel. When they get here, it's instantly, assimilated. Everybody starts talking, sharing. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. So if you're here this evening and you've come over from Wages World, wow, we're happy to have you. We really are. And do reach out. Send one of us I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry if I don't respond to everybody in the chat personally, but believe me, I am reading it all. I appreciate everything you guys are doing for me. You know what, 40? No one here is we understand that the chat moves pretty quickly, and a lot of people said a lot of nice things. That was a very classy response, because you're never going to hit everybody.
Yeah.
It would have taken you all night. So you're a good guy, man.
Yeah.
You really are. We're happy you're here.
This is it's a judgment-free zone here, guys. We don't get offended like that when people know. It's all good. Yeah.
It's family finding. Thank you promoting a platform per platform. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. And I do think that, similar people gravitate towards each other.
Uh, People, this is I have been in squirrel mode. Leisure Beast, good to see you, brother. I have been in squirrel mode for a good chunk of this live feed. However, you know that I do like to turn this over to my bobble-headed brother on the other side of the glass. And Mark, how are you, brother?
I am living large and probably too large. But no, yeah, this is why we do what we do right here, honestly. And again, we've been saying this for quite some time. We bring a topic, and a lot of times the topic starts the whole conversation, and then it'll take a left turn or a right turn, and it'll come back to the topic. And usually, typically, things will circle back around, and it has. I mean, because this all comes back to what we were just talking about. Everybody that's here talking in the live chat is willing to take a personal inventory of themselves. That's why you're here. That's what you're doing. You recognize that there might be an issue there, and you're trying to take that inventory of yourself, and you're taking responsibility at least a little bit, stepping out of what you're comfortable doing in an effort to help yourself and others. And I think that is an awesome thing. And that again, it goes back to the whole personal, inventory list that you keep on yourself. Whether you write that stuff down, every one of us have that in our mind. Most of us have a moral line that we won't cross ever, no matter what happens. We'd rather die or whatever.
Yep.
And believe it or not, that's different from person to person. There's certain things in my brain that there's no way I could ever possibly do, no matter what. And then there's certain things in Tommy's brain that he would never do that maybe I would. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm saying. But the premise behind that is just that all of us have that. We all have that line, and that line might be at the same level, but it's a different road to get to that line. And so don't think that anything like that is going on in the chat or here when me and Tommy are talking. It's definitely something that is different for everybody. And that's one of the reasons why we keep a judgment-free zone. Because it would be so easy to come on here and just start, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. What's going to happen? I mean, again, if there's people here from my channel, they've probably heard me say this 1,000 times. If you want to start yelling at me, I'm going to stop listening right away. Just crazy. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Vegemite, yeah. You take that Vegemite and hey, Jacqueline, good to see you.
You saw that?
Yeah,
Where's Lady Fiona Crispin when we need her? In fact, Alan Valentine, we are missing the entire Vegemite crowd tonight, which is sad because I would have liked all of the Team Vegemite to read that. Cemetery, you nailed it. You really did. Vegemite does look exactly like that.
Yep.
And it doesn't taste a whole lot better than that either. It really does not.
There's one thing you're always going to get here, guys. At the very least, you're going to get a positive outlook. But it's also the biggest thing that we have to understand is you're going to get truth is what you're going to get. It's not about us trying to protect anybody's feelings. It's about us protecting everybody's right to believe and get treatment how they want to get. That's what it is. To get help. Not some necessarily treatment, because we're not treatment people, obviously. We're just people walking this same life that you are, and we're sharing our walk with you for the most part, with what we've went through and what we've learned throughout that time. I wish I had this when I was at the beginning of my sobriety. I had nothing at all like this except for where I got lucky was my family support system here at home is just like this. So that's what I'm trying to say. I had enough people around me that, and I feel so bad for people that don't. And I know that probably 99% of you guys don't have that. that is one aspect of sobriety that I didn't have to worry about. To the point where I was walking back to rehab, they were admitting me. My wife grabbed my hand, flipped me around, and said, "Hey, we're going to be here when you get out." Because she knew in my mind that's what I needed to hear. She knew that. That's why she's my best friend, and that's why, I feel so lucky for that. Because that was my biggest fear walking through those doors, was thinking that when I come back out, nobody's going to be there. It's just going to be me. My kids, my family, all is going to be gone. She loved me enough, and she knew that's what I didn't even have to say it. That's what was amazing. Because that exact thought was going through my mind when she, I literally was walking away. It's amazing. And I feel so fortunate. And I really do feel sorry for people that don't have that. And that's probably why I'm so driven to do this, to be honest with you, because I recognize that there's not a whole lot of that out there nowadays. And if I can facilitate that at all, I'm going to try. So just anyway.
Hey, Santiago Lazo, great comments. You know what? The beautiful thing about this, Santiago, is if what you need is to soak this in and you don't feel like you've got, like it doesn't feel comfortable for you to be, dumping back all kinds of advice and everything else, man, you're not neat. The beautiful thing, it's the way this is designed. You come in here and you do what makes you comfortable, right? We don't judge, but you say it feels good, then let it feel good. We couldn't ask for anything more. That's as good as it gets. Derek N., let me say thank you. He said, I talked to a guy today at work, and he's going through a lot with the drug problem, so I told him about the channel. That's awesome. It really is, Derek. And people, if you're new to the channel, we did an interview with Derek. Seems like 6 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Man, really wasn't that long ago. Feels like it is. Derek, how about an update on your daughter, too? If you may have already put it in the live chat, but Rosalind, we'd like to love to hear if she's home, how things are going.
Yeah, for sure.
But
for those that don't know, she had a hole in her heart. Ain't that right, Tommy?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But she was supposed to be home, I believe, yesterday. Right?
Yeah, that's what.
And you know what? And when he shared that, it was great because there were people in the chat. One woman said, "Yeah, I was born with that, like 23 years ago or whatever."
Yeah.
So it was. I think it was another one of those opportunities for everybody in the chat to sort of chime in. And I had also mentioned that Cedar, my daughter, was born with half a heart, and here she is at 18, doing fantastic. Although she did dye her hair. So Dad's going to be dealing with that. Yeah. No, actually, it's all right. I'm just picking it up.
Pick your battles, Dad.
I got one of those. I got one of those texts that said, "Hey, I'm thinking about dyeing my hair," and I said, "Why do I have a feeling you've already done it?" And then 2 seconds later, the picture came across. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I learned very early on, not to with my kids, let them have those kind of battles, man.
Right.
The big ones is where you want to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
If that's all I got to deal with, I'll be okay.
Yeah, for real.
I once worked in a physical therapy. My favorite couple had been married over 60 years and had a full-sized hospital bed. They refused to sleep separate. Awesome.
Oh,
how cool
wow.
is that? Yeah, that's Cindy Lamb. What a great compliment. I hope everybody heard that.
That's awesome.
That is so cool, Cindy. That really is awesome.
Yeah, I mean.
Truth is positivity, says Niall. There's something to that, Niall.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, people, we are coming up on the top of the witching hour. Pick your battles. Great advice. I think a lot of people are agreeing with that.
Yep.
Cindy Lamb says, "I love that stuff. It's the good stuff." Okay, people. So little business before we end. So today, some of you saw a live feed for the 8 o'clock video that goes up 8 o'clock on the West Coast. Instead of, I sat and tried to edit that puppy and get it uploaded for what seemed like 6 days. It was probably at least 40 minutes. But it just, I finally just said, to heck with it, man. I'm just going to hit the live button. and let it rip. And a lot of people said that since it was such a scenic view, that they would be really happy if I were to just do the live and do it sort of unedited. I'm going to tomorrow. I don't know if we'll make it a full hour, but I'm going to go live tomorrow at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. That's the best coast. That is Oculi Mortis's coast. Oh, by the way, people, I have heard from Oculi, who he was going through it. The Oregon Ducks loss really kind of put him sideways. He said he just needed a few days, but he wanted everyone to know that he's doing all right. So Oculi will be back, no fears. He's doing all right. And while I have been on doing this live feed, I got a text from Lady Fiona Crispin, who apparently is getting her hair done. Said she feels awful about it, but look, people, right now in Australia, the way that lockdown is go, she said she is so amazingly blessed that she got a appointment that she had to jump on it. So I guess their lockdown has been a little bit more difficult. Oh, you know what, people? Have I got a great idea? Right now, the Chili Mancer, who's been with us from the very, very beginning. People, if you've never gone over to the Chili Mancer's channel, you should probably head over and check that out. You know what? He has been such a G from the very word go. People, if you've been here long enough, there were a group of people that if your channel is even halfway successful, you find haters. It's just one of the things. But when that happened, he threw himself in the mix to stand up for me and for this channel, and at his own peril. Was just a great guy and always sort of been on the forefront. And I love Donnie. He's one of the just a really positive guy. And let's love bomb him. What do you think?
Yeah, everybody head over there.
Right? We should be able to scare the audience over there. And I don't know if you people know this, but Donnie recently clicked off the first of the. He has over 1,000 subscribers. It's a very
awesome.
Big deal. So we get him some watch hours over there to be.
Get him 4,000 watch hours and get him monetized. That'd be cool.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get him a partnership here on. And I'll tell you something else, which is a reason that I feel great about this. People, that there are virtual bars on YouTube, right? People go and they hang out at the virtual bar and everybody gets smashed. And it was really starting to kind of gain some momentum in the pepper community. And Donnie shut his down and made it a coffee house because he wanted a place for them. Yeah, how cool is that? He shut down the one that he had going because he wanted a place where people could go who they could still go and talk about peppers or talk about anything else, but he didn't want alcohol in everybody's face. And I thought that was the coolest thing going, man. I really did. Especially when he had some traction with the with the bar. It's pretty cool to see him turn it into a coffee house. And I'm going to head over there personally. So, so tomorrow, people, I will be going up at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. I will be seeing all of you there. I really appreciate all of the new people. Send me an email, reach out. 40-foot garbage man. If you really feel it, please send me an email. I'd love to talk to you about it. And I do promise you that I respond to all of them, usually pretty quickly. So that is really cool. 40-foot garbage man says, it really is, man. Him turning that to a coffee shop really is something. So I'm going to head over to the Chili Mancer. I believe that Christine Seidman just put a link up there, so it should be a little easier. Is she not on it?
I'll tell you what,
Christine.
Yeah,
you really are amazing. You know what? One of these days, I'm going to learn how to do that myself. Probably not. Okay, people, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back tomorrow. Between now and tomorrow morning, you got one assignment, right? You know what to do. Let's reach out and try to save somebody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
All right, people. Have a good evening.